And we're live. Hello, everyone, Eternal Life fans. Welcome to the fifth Eternal Life Fan Club Hangout. This is a special hangout because this is the Day of the Dead, the day after Halloween, and we have some great Eternal Life fans here. So it's the Day of the Dead, so I was thinking maybe we should talk a little bit about, maybe we'll get into like if any of us know anyone that's died, and maybe the Day of the Dead is supposed to be about remembering the dead. And maybe we'll talk about lessons we've learned from dead people, like where they went wrong. Why did they die? Why do these people die? It sucks. Okay, but let's. So you guys introduce yourselves, and let's have a great conversation here. We've already been talking a bunch, talking about Trump and cool stuff. So. Let's start with you, Haley.
What shall I say?
Just introduce yourself. Who are you? How'd you find out about the Eternal Life fan club?
Well, my name's Hayley Harrison, and I found the Eternal Life fan clubs through Facebook.
Awesome. Hey, we got Matt in here.
I was gonna say.
All right, who wants to introduce themselves next? How about you, Ian? Ian Murphy. He's been my eyes and ears of the internet. He's been sending me so many cool freaking links, and I'm so thankful to him. He's a lot of the videos that myself and my roommate have made has actually been all because of Ian Murphy sending me these links to these various deathists, and so I really appreciate him. He's like the eyes and ears.
Well, yeah. So the main reason I guess I found you was because of Devin Tracy, just sort of like in the atheist community, and you've caught my attention. I'm all for about immortality, and then I slowly got introduced to all these other transhumanists like Zoltan, and I'm really excited, honestly, about the whole direction that we're gonna go for.
Heck yeah, me too. So let's. How about you, Matt Blackburn? So I met Matt actually from my other friend Matt, and so he kind of turned me on to Matt Blackburn. So tell us about. He's a super health enthusiast, and he's very knowledgeable. So Matt, introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? Yeah, Matt Blackburn, and I started this whole journey in 2005, and I was a bread and cheesetarian, and then for 5 years got really sick on like Subway and Quiznos, and that was kind of like my staple. And then I discovered raw foods in 2010 and started juicing, and the brain fog went away. And my story is a little similar to Rowan in that just got kind of addicted to that like mental clarity, and I've been following, been looking for that ever since. So I'm going on 7 years of hardcore research of daily study. So I'm a big fan of electricity and magnetism. I study the mitochondria a lot, sunlight, earthing. That's where I'm coming from. I have a YouTube channel, Divine Superconductor TV, and I have some products, and I just love to share. I give health talks in the San Diego area, and my passion is pro-youthing, anti-aging, reverse aging, whatever you want to call it. So it's really fun for me. This is really fun to talk to you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, you're a great character, Matt. And I remember when we first met, you actually came out to a protest, transhumanist protest, the existential threats. And you were right there with us holding the signs on the Immortality Bus Tour. So that was really cool.
That was fun.
All right. Matt, Raw Matt, or
What's
Matt
up?
Wraith. He goes by a lot of different aliases. And what's that he's wearing? Oh, it's Halloween costume. It looks like a horn.
Don't worry about it.
Some horns. All right. So Matt is best known for being Mad Matt. I think that's his best alias. And he's a all the best people are mad. So Matt, give her an intro of what you're about. What do you do?
Well,
and how'd you come to find the Eternal Life fan club?
I actually met you I think, in a Whole Foods. You came to one of my lectures I was giving quite a while ago.
I remember
So
that.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Pretty much we met there, and then I started doing lectures over at my property. And we kind of just started hanging out, and I saw how much you were addicted into it like I was. So we just kind of melded and started hanging out from that event. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Who I am, I think, is unimportant, really, because all I just do is pretty much research and share the information. There's nothing special about me, but I'm really addicted in trying to find the next level that there is. So I incorporate all these new things into myself to find out if it actually works or not, so I can save other people time and money in doing it. So I love to experiment on myself.
And that's why we love you. All right, Tony Reno. Tony Reno. So we actually, me and Tony did a little conversation about Trump. He's awesome. He's really very knowledgeable politically, and he's an immortalist. So give us a little intro, Tony. How'd you get into this, and how long have you been aware of the Eternal Life Fan Club?
Well, I've only been aware of the Eternal Life Fan Club, I guess, in the past year. I'm not exactly sure when I became aware. I met Haley on Quora, and she introduced me to the Eternal Life Fan Club, and that's the first I'd heard of it. Although I probably have commented, I think I looked and I found that I had commented on some of your videos in the past, videos you had done with Aubrey, or other videos you may have uploaded about Eternal Life. I've been an anti-aging enthusiast practically since I was 3. I don't know if I talked about that, but I actually started when I was 3 years old to realize that something was wrong with our focus. And it was funny how it happened. I was watching a TV show. I really enjoyed swimming underwater, and I was watching a TV show, and the TV show was about to show how in the future we're going to be able to swim underwater naturally, like Aquaman. I thought that would be the coolest thing in the world. And the TV show came on and they showed it. And I thought, man, this is going to be so cool. It's going to happen. It's going to be great. And then when they went back to the studio, there was this young woman who had done the interview, and she said, and yeah, they're very excited about this technology they're working on. And the old guy who was the announcer, he chuckles and he looks at her and says, when is that going to be? When do you think that's going to be available? And then she looked kind of startled and she says, well, it's going to take about 50 years. And in that moment, I started doing mental calculations in my head, and I said, I'm only 3, I could still enjoy that. I'll be 53. That'll be okay. And then the next thing is that in that split second, the old guy then starts laughing and says, that's after I'll be long gone. And that just hit me with shock. After I'll be long gone. He was laughing about being long gone. And it just so happened, my grandfather was sitting behind me, and I looked back at my grandfather. He hadn't been watching the show. I looked back at my grandfather, and I was thinking, he's going to be long gone too. They're not going to see it. They're not going to see them swim underwater. And in that moment, I thought, we should be working on swimming underwater. We should solve aging. Then we can solve swimming underwater. We can build starships. We can build cities to tomorrow. We can build, all the things that were in my mind from watching things like Lost in Space and futuristic shows of the 60s. All the things that I wanted to see, we could have if we just solved aging first. And I started thinking, it's stupid to spend money on anything else. We should be spending all our research on solving aging and then do it. And I started that at 3. And I pretty much thought it was hopeless for a long time. But I got so interested in cryonics when I first heard about it coming out, and they were talking about it on TV, that the first thing I started doing was saving up money to get a cryonics policy. And I actually got one sometime in the 80s, which was I even got a lifetime membership and everything during the period of time when they were doing it, because I just, anything you could do. So I've always been pretty enthusiastic about aging, about not youthing is what I should say, and pretty much into it.
All right. Well, so it's the Day of the Dead. So how can we bring in this topic, this special day, into this conversation? Now, Haley Her mother died, and that's very sad. You want to talk a little bit about your mother, Haley, and like why she was special to you, and why? What do you think? Yeah, where'd she go wrong?
Yeah, she was like a best friend to me. I was more close to her than any other member of my family. You know, I loved her so much. She used to talk to me about things that she didn't even tell anybody else about.
Did your mother want to live forever?
No. No, I actually asked her something about that, and then she just kept talking about overpopulation and, you know,
Did your
and I
mother,
tried to convince.
did she try to be like healthy? Was she into health and like healthy dieting and healthy lifestyle at all?
I think she was. She used to eat a lot of salads, tomatoes, eggs. I think boiled eggs and poached eggs as well. And before she got sick, she, you know, she was all right. Apart from asthma, and high blood pressure, she was, you know, she seemed quite healthy. And then, bang, June of 2010, she started getting really out of breath, and she didn't understand why. And then as the weeks went by, she got worse and worse. Then she went to the doctor and found out then that she'd got this dysplasia syndrome. Then she had to keep going in hospital every week for EPO injections. And that went on for a few years.
What are EPO injections?
Yeah.
What are those?
I can't remember
Some kind of drug?
It's some kind of drug that you inject. I can't remember the full name, but she had to go into hospital every week to have them. But then she got too bad for that. Hospital every week for blood and platelet transfusions. Then she got sicker and sicker. Then she was in hospital like there was no tomorrow because she kept falling sick as well.
So if you could take a lesson from the life of your mother, what would you take from that?
I think what I would say is we can't let aging happen to us. I think that's what I can say.
I agree. I agree with that. Hey, we have someone else.
Hello.
Sarah Torrent. Wow. Oh my gosh. I heard about Sarah Torrent.
Was it good stuff?
Yes, really good. Like you're an ex-Muslim, right?
Yeah.
And you even got like on TV recently?
Yeah, Fox Business.
Wow. Tell us about that.
I got on Fox Business.
Tell us about yourself. Do you want to live forever? How'd you find the link to this?
This guy, I'm touching his profile. Ian invited me to this.
Great. So you're into this idea of living forever?
Yeah, I'm actually currently studying orthotics and prosthetics. And then afterwards, I plan on doing like biomedical engineering. I just want to I really love, I hate Captain Picard because I love the Borg and I think they got it right.
Captain Picard was a total deathist.
He saw the perfect thing, and he's such a hater. Like, he just couldn't handle it.
Absolutely. So how did you? So you used to be a Muslim. What in your mind? How did you get out of that? How did you become? Are you an atheist now?
I like to say I'm collecting pamphlets.
So you're still. Interpret that for me. What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, I left
Collecting
Islam.
pamphlets. I saw you on Fox. Now I know who you are now. Cool.
Thanks. That means, like, collecting pamphlets means, like, because I've found out that I humbly do not know enough to be of Islam, then I also humbly do not know enough to be of not Islam or of anything. So maybe
So you're kind of agnostic and still testing the waters of everything, kind of?
I wouldn't. Agnostic, I feel, is like, isn't that what we describe people who are like, what is it? Let me Google define agnostic,
No,
because English is my second language. I'm sorry.
Yeah, agnostic, the way I think about it is having no claim of knowledge. So you might have your beliefs, but you don't claim to know any of your beliefs are true. Like, I'm an agnostic, but I'm also an atheist. So I don't believe in God, but I also don't say that I know for sure. So that puts me in the agnostic category.
Yeah, I just looked it up. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, agnostic, leaning both ways philosophically.
I got to chime in for a second here. I spent 5 years collecting pamphlets, or no, maybe not 5 years, 2 years collecting pamphlets, just going from church to church and trying to compare them and everything. This is an amazing adventure. I highly recommend it. I think you'll have fun if you actually go to the different services and listen to them. Because one of the things that surprised me is how, on one level, they sound totally different in what they say, but on another level, they will sound almost identically the same. I would be into different churches, and I would find, like, one of them was a Nichiren Daishonin Buddhist, and other ones were Christian religions, and just various different religions. And what I found is people would talk about, going back to the religion when they had kids because they wanted some base to teach their kids and stuff. And you'd find even though their beliefs were vastly different, the way they impacted their lives was often the same. It was more of a sense of stability or something.
Yeah, I got kind of turned down by a few people. Like, so I live in Florida, and Tampa and Clearwater, Scientology is really big. Like, that's where their headquarters are. They won't even allow me in. Like, I didn't even troll them or anything. I took the Scientology test and I passed with 0 stress, and they wouldn't let me go. And I'm just like, geez, that's nice. I was just trying to have fun, but they wouldn't let me. And the Mormons, I know a few Mormons that I pray with very often, and they hate it. I got blocked by a Mormon because every day I would send him prayers, and, like, I didn't get, like, I thought that was rude. Except, like, the only difference in the prayers I send him is that instead of God, I say gods. All I have to do is add in my first initial to ruin his day. But so that's, like, how it's been going so far. I don't want to say collecting pamphlets. I'm more like waiting for pamphlets.
Well, one of the things that was intriguing to me is one of the big things that people ask a lot about religion is something called I'm trying to remember who's it was at the Pagas. There's a philosophical thing that I'll remember the name of as soon as we exit the clause. But the idea is, what have you got to lose? And I remember that big idea was, if you do not have a religion, what have you lost? You at least had a good life. In other words, if you're wrong, what do you have to lose? And what that particular search, that particular question, when it was thrown at me, made me think that one of the things that stood out about religions is that if it looks like there's nothing to lose, there must be something huge to lose. Because I've never seen anything in life that didn't have huge trade-offs between being wrong and being right. So when I went into religions, I remember thinking, and I was a fundamentalist Christian for years. I remember thinking, well, what do you have to lose? There must be something to lose here. And what I realized is that the big thing that people lost is any effort towards solving aging. They simply will
Towards what?
resist it, solving the process of aging or
Oh,
ending
okay.
death. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
one of those things. It's almost a mental block in their mind that says you can't go there because that would go against God's will, and that mental block is so strong it makes it, you've got everything to lose. Is what
Well,
is what I ended up concluding.
I feel like I might be the most religious person of them all, because so every time I have a conversation with someone who is actually of a religion, and they tell me, they ask me why I don't, what they give me that, what do you have to lose? My theory is that, hold on, I want to turn my camera on so I can join you guys. My theory is that, like, well, I'm kind of like, I think the ultimate sin is to worship in a way. If there's a God, in every religion, they have a few things in common. And one of them is that God would be the judge, right? And so if God is the judge, then you have to give him the most clean thing to judge, no obstacles in the way. So if you follow a certain religion, you're altering yourself in a way. You're doing the stuff you do out of fear or out of respect or out of obedience, and all of these things are not really who you are. So how are you how are you going to be judged if your actions had a motive aside from actually being good? So it kind of feels like the ultimate sin is to actually worship a certain God, because then you're getting in the way of his judgment.
Yeah, that's actually called Euthyphro's dilemma, and the question there is God good because is God's law good because it was good on its own, or is it good only because God says it good? And it ends up being a dilemma, because if it's good because it's good on its own, then you didn't really need God for it. And if it's only good because God says it's good, then God's not really good at all. He's just an authoritarian telling people what to do.
I can hear like Matt psychically chomping at the bit. Matt, what do you think about this?
Oh, me. Oh, my. I do love the study of religion. There's no doubt about that. But, I mean, me and Rowan have done entire videos on the subject, so no reason for me to chime in.
I have an interesting thought about this. I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on. Do you guys think it might be actually good to have religion out there and the belief of God and even the fear of God, even if it's not true, just because it would make some people behave morally, whereas otherwise they wouldn't if they didn't have the fear of God, and that therefore we might have less crime in the world from by just having religion as a thing in the world. Do you think that's truth to that? Obviously, there's horrible things with religion too, especially Islam, as we're seeing. I'm sure Sarah would have a lot to say on that.
You can go first about that.
Oh, no, I was just saying it seems a little bit different nowadays than it does back when we look, because we find nothing but problems with religion as far as separation and war and division between people. But nowadays with knowledge, and people have a different outlook because they can actually read the scriptures for themselves, as rather than listening to one particular person telling the people what it says. So I don't know. It's a little bit different now, because if you go to the prisons here in the United States and you look at the population concentrations of what they actually put on a piece of paper, whether they're agnostic, atheist, or religious, the prison population is full of religious people. So kind of interesting.
I actually hear that like a lot of people turn religious after joining prison, but my point with that is it's not very black and white in the sense, because we'll have to start defining what is morally what is morally right, and then to take that step, that would be you could think, well, what if crime is natural selection, and what if deviance isn't really like a real thing in nature, it's something we have defined. So you'd have to take a completely different look about what's good and what's bad in order to say, well, certain sets of rules do good. I'd say yeah, it would do good momentarily. So it's tactical, but it's not strategical, because on the long run, humanity isn't going to change. We only kind of change on them in a way.
Now, Sarah, you mentioned the cyborgs, the Borg. So are you interested in in that aspect of it? Are you interested in becoming a cyborg, or?
Yeah,
Why would you
definitely.
mention that? Do you have like an interest in transhumanism and stuff? I'm just curious.
Well, yeah, I do have interest in transhumanism because I feel like the old question of, why are we here? Where did we come from, etc. I think like where we came from is not important. Where we're going is important, and we're here to learn where to go and how to go. So more time on Earth is more learning, I guess. So it kind of, adds up to like my existential crisis is to exist forever until I find out. Because like they have this, when I was talking about like what's good and what's bad and stuff, I feel like they have the right idea in the sense of, yeah, we might view them as the villain, but are they really? Because they've, if we would look at all people as animals, they're kind of doing what's really good for their survival. So I don't think I think I really like the collective thought that they have going on. Obviously, it's like socialism if you kind of like try to apply it in our world, but I like the way that it's working in their world where it's just like about survival. It isn't about welfare, it's about survival, which is a different thing.
What do you think of this election? What do you think of Trump? Are you a fan of Trump?
Reveals my wall.
Oh
MAGA.
yes.
My MAGA wall. I had this poster at a Trump rally, and I just looked some of my.
Awesome. Yes, I love it.
I do. I've been watching like how it's made videos nonstop, trying to practice for when jobs come back.
I love it. You got Pepe Trump meme. Wow, you're really far into it. I love it. So why do you think Trump is the best choice?
Because I'm well traveled, and I feel like when I go to other countries, I feel like, wait a second, like my parents are from Syria. I've been to Syria a lot, and I turn on TV while I'm in Syria to like a Western channel that says Syria is a third world country, and I'm like, hold on, but I haven't seen a single homeless person in Syria, and I feel like comparing and contrasting between all the places I've been to all continents except South America. America's a third world country, like it really is, and I'm like I don't want to live in a third world country, like what the heck. So that's why I support Trump. I feel like every politician we've had so far has kind of kept us in a bubble where we don't realize what a third world country we live in. So I feel like Trump being A, not a politician, and B, actually allowing us to have national pride, which is what makes countries prosper, is like the two reasons that America needs him to become a first world country, because it's not.
Yeah, I think I saw in the video you did on TV, the interview, weren't you trying to defend Trump's Muslim ban?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I didn't actually get a chance to see the video, but I saw it just from the title. So why do you defend that?
Because Muslims are like completely opposed to assimilating, and being board queen, assimilating is a very important word there. So I just feel like if they can't assimilate, there's a common denominator in their problems, right? So they live in Pakistan, their life is shit, so they decide they're going to move somewhere else, but they bring the shit with them, and then I'm like, why did you move in the first place? You could have stayed there. So it just, I think like that's not what America is for. America was like, essentially, like, I hate that Obama's administration hijacked that word, but it was for change. That's how it was founded. To come to America, the American way is supposed to be different, supposed to be its own, and someone who isn't like willing to, change where they came from shouldn't have left in the first place. And Muslims have absolutely like zero tolerance towards changing. It's actually like, if you live in the Middle East and you like print a version of the Quran that's even slightly altered, you go to jail. So
Wow.
So yeah, wow. If they can't change, then they can't come here. Like, end of story.
Yeah, that actually has a lot to do with why I'm in favor of Trump, is because I think it's ultimately about safety. He wants to, a lot of these Syrians coming in as immigrants would be, some of them would be terrorists, right? Some terrorists would slip through the cracks. Obviously not all, but some of them would. And the idea is just like, why do we have to put ourselves at risk? And Hillary Clinton wants to increase the amount of Syrian refugees that we're letting into America by 500%. And that is pretty substantial. That could do a lot of damage. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, it's not just like the Syrians in general. I don't like I'm Syrian, and I'm not saying that because I'm Syrian, but like I feel like Islam in general. I also like I'm totally against this whole like mass immigration, because at no point, like I'm gonna sound so liberal saying this, but at no point should we ever treat humans in bulk. And that's the problem with this mass immigration, is that they bring in everyone like by the dozen, and humans are not by the dozen. They're all different. So everyone has to go through the process.
Yeah, and Trump talks about extreme vetting. We need to really be really sure that whoever we're bringing in really loves America and American values and is going to be able to assimilate. Absolutely. Assimilate like the Borg. That's kind of like what America is, right? You have to assimilate.
Resistance is futile.
Exactly. Yeah. Freedom. Resisting freedom is futile. So let's talk a little bit about living forever. So did you say you wanted to live forever?
Yeah.
All right. So you're on board. You're a total Eternal Life fan. Anyone else have any comments they'd like to chime in? And
Yeah, just before Sarah came on, what we were talking about is people who had passed away this year. And my brother passed away this year, and I was in the hospital. Now he was relatively young, but the thing about it is he rode a motorcycle, and he was extra super safety conscious for riding a motorcycle. But the thing about it is the people, that the lady who ran over him was not safety conscious. He was knocked into a coma and went into a hospital. And I remember watching and seeing I was essentially monitoring when he was in a coma and watching how the hospital treated the whole situation. And it was somewhat disturbing that they had such a small focus on making sure that he survived. It seemed to be so much more about how comfortable everybody around him was with the situation. And it was very frustrating. I found that the hospitals treat life as if it's not as big a deal as they should. They really treat it like it's more a matter of convenience than anything else.
Yeah, but you have to realize death is more uncomfortable than the people who don't die than it is for the people who do die, because we don't really know what happens after death, and it becomes an unknown to us. So it's always treated as like a really uncomfortable thing. Humans never like the unknown.
Well, what stood out to me is how there was a trap set up there so that every conversation was so emotional that you couldn't really get to the science. You're really in a position where you're trying to talk about the science of what can be done to keep my brother alive and to keep him healthy. And every time I wanted to focus on the science, there would be other, his wife would be in the room sobbing, my mom would be in the room sobbing, and they were like, and I wanted to focus on the science, and the doctors, the surgeon, the brain surgeon who was involved with the surgery had limited amount of time, and they were spending all this time on this emotional stuff that was not going to help him live. It was incredibly frustrating.
So the surgeon was actually like in the room talking to you guys while he should have been operating?
Well, they have times, they have times when they go the rounds when they're not necessarily operating. I mean, he'd already done the operation, and my brother was in recovery, and this went on for about a week before they essentially decided that he wasn't going to recover and made the decision to take him off life support. And it was I felt very poorly done from a scientific standpoint. Focusing on the science was very hard. They kept focusing on their. I tried to get them to talk in percentages, talk in statistics, talk in some realities of what was going on. And nobody would do it. They would always say, well, I think he's not going to, he's going to be a vegetable the rest of his life. It's not going to be good. I'm like, I was looking at his brain scans and looking at the injury and looking at statistics and trying to figure out what the actual odds were, and I could not get them to speak to me scientifically. They simply would would and it was a set. It wasn't that they were resisting it. It was that they had set up an environment that resisted it. The environment was set up so that you could not get you couldn't have a scientific conversation because they were sitting there trying to, in my mind, ease the decision to decide to take him off life support. And so I think that one of the points to say to everybody is do not do, there's a reason it costs more of Hangout cycle. It costs more not because you don't know how to. Actually, is more dangerous even if you're doing everything right. And he was doing everything right through from what I could tell, he was doing everything right other than the fact that he was riding a motorcycle. There were actually 3 videos that showed what happened, and he had done everything right. It was just the other lady ran a red light and totally ignored the traffic conditions and ran over him. And there was really nothing he did wrong other than being at risk. So I'm saying that for us, I mean, my own perspective of looking at immortality, I think in terms of we are at this weird period where we can be killed easily over the course of the next 50, 100 years until we really master what we're doing. And we have to be extra careful because we're also so close to the point at which it's going to be nearly impossible to kill people. At some point in time with nanotechnology advanced, about the only way you would be able to be killed is if some other human being wants you dead. As far as the way we would die, we just will not experience natural death in the very near term. And so I don't know why they would propagate that.
I have something to say on that, if I could chime in.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, Tony, I'm really glad you brought up the emotion thing. I work as a cannabis delivery driver, so I deliver medicinal cannabis to people. And some of the people I've delivered to, I remember this one guy, his feet were black, swollen. He had a beer gut times a billion. Like, he was kidney failure. I mean, this guy was Hispanic family going downhill. And it's great that they were using cannabis, but I was like, making all these suggestions. I told his wife, I was like, look, I've been studying health for 7 years. I have some things, some very key things I could recommend that will help him. And there was this emotional wall that, just like you were saying, it cuts off the mind. So I'm just so glad you brought that up because people never talk about that. And it relates to eternal life because I, like a lot of people in this group, probably have tried a lot of different diets: vegetarian, vegan, raw vegan, fruitarian, paleo, a combination of all those, liquidarian. And I'm at the point now where I'm so open. I've been studying the subject of water for 6 years, and it's infinite, the study of water. And so it's being in that place of just openness and not letting our emotions, I'm not a fan of being afraid of death. I just get excited about living. That's kind of my little eternal life strategy. But I know everyone has their own, so whatever works.
So I want to ask everyone, because you guys are like my think tank. I want to ask anyone, you guys are like the eyes and ears for me to improve my eternal life strategy. So have you guys learned anything recently in the news or anything interesting that could help me live forever? That's what I want to know.
I'm doing something. I'm actively doing something about that. I take hops. Like, there's only one company that makes hops supplements, and hops actually stops oxidization, which is what kills us. And I got that information through a friend of mine who is a biochemist, and he was talking about how one of his classes was about oxidization in general. And then when we start talking about humans, he's like, oh, hops does that. That's why I drink a lot of beer. But like, he was joking. And then I was like, wait a second. And I did some research. Let me grab the bottle real quick.
Wow, because that's really interesting. I've actually heard I've seen some supplements of people selling hops. For a while, I was drinking non-alcoholic beer to get the benefits of hops. And this is interesting.
The difference is that this is 50 milligrams. What you get in a beer is like 2 milligrams, right? This is actually the only company that makes it, Swanson. And I have not found a lot of dietitians talking about this, but when you search like academic journals regarding oxidization, they do mention hops, but there's no one saying, hey, let's take hop supplements. So it might or might not work. It was just me putting one and one together and going for it. I take them like 1 week, then I go 1 week off, then I take them back for 1 week, because according to my biochemist friend, anything you take constantly isn't really as good as, it becomes too natural for you, so you have to space it out.
Yeah, your body kind of adapts to it, and then it loses its effectiveness, kind of.
Yeah,
That's
and
what I
like
heard that.
30 pills are like $11. It's really unpopular for some reason, but yeah, this is what I'm doing. Take hops, guys.
Yeah, I definitely need to research more into that, and I'd be curious what Matt has to say about this topic, because I've heard that hops is very estrogenic. So, but I've also heard some people say that these phytoestrogens that are in hops and are actually beneficial, and they're not bad for you. I'm sure this. So there's confusion around the estrogens and the phytoestrogens, and are they bad for you, or might they actually be good for you? And then there's different types of phytoestrogens, right? There's the type that are in soy, and there's the type that are in flaxseed, and there's even like beans are high in phytoestrogens, and like black beans and peanuts and all this stuff is high in phytoestrogens. So is it good for you or bad for you? And does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. The hops extract that she's talking about is actually really beneficial if taken with fats or lipids or oils. So if you were to take that extract, make sure that you take it with olive oil or something like this, because it has to make it into the subcutaneous layer of the fats to actually become super beneficial. Otherwise, it's just a water extract, which means that the antioxidants aren't recirculated in the system. There's another hops extract that's actually made into a tincture extract, and it's sold by, I think you could find it on sunfood.com. It's been years now, but they make a hop supercritical concentrated extract so that they can get a high dose milligram concentrate of hops without the phytoestrogenic effects, because they're just removing the alkaloid extract from it, kind of like white willow bark and aspirin. So they're not getting the phytoestrogenic parts from it, because that's what makes beer, after you have a bunch, that makes you lethargic. It makes men impotent. It makes those things. So we know that there's an estrogenic effect that comes from hops. So they're trying to work with the concentrated alkaloids, just particular from the hops. So that's a pretty good one. So if you have that supplement, if you're a male, I would just take it with some with foods. Most of the time, herbs are supposed to be taken with by themselves to be very potent in themselves. But anytime you can take that extract, take it with a meal, and make sure that meal actually has some good oils or fats with it. That would be really good.
So thanks for bringing the hops up, Sarah. Do you do anything else for your health? I'm curious.
Yeah. So I say as I blow a bunch of vape, but I've been smoking for 10 years and quit like a year ago. But what I do is I swim very, very frequently, because from my understanding, swimming actually restores your lungs. So I do laps for like an hour a few times a week. And even though I smoked for 10 years before quitting, I can like have really good, I don't run out of breath. And I think that's what's been doing it, the swimming. According to my doctor, I have great lungs, and I think it's the swimming.
You get one of these.
Awesome.
You guys know what this is?
Swimming is great.
It's a nebulizer.
Oh, vaporizer, yeah.
You can nebulize.
Those are so important to have. A nebulizer, yes. A nebulizer. I have one myself. They're amazing.
What do they do?
You can basically use them to vaporize medicinal compounds, and it gets directly into your lungs, and the particle size is very small, and you just kind of breathe it in, and you can put, like I use it for silver. I have silver in my vaporizer, and it's very beneficial if you ever get a lung infection, anything like a pneumonia, it can clear it up right away, because silver is very strongly antibacterial. And it's especially important for someone like me, because I don't have a spleen. And so the spleen is a huge part of the immune system. So it's the nebulizer is kind of my backup immune system.
Yeah, you can even nebulize glutathione. That's what I do.
Okay, this is going to sound extremely dumb, but okay, like I get sick like once every 3 years. Like I'm talking about the common flu. I rarely get the common flu or any kind of sickness, and I get slight symptoms of it, but then I deal with it immediately, and I deal with it in really dumb ways that I've been made fun of, but it's worked for me for years.
Were you vaccinated?
Do tell. What do you do? What's your secret?
First thing I do is like I immediately go get KFC because it's so bad for you. I have these like theories that like it might be just placebo for me, but so I get like KFC immediately when I get symptoms because I think like, wow, it's so bad for me. It's not gonna kill me. It's just really bad for me that it gets my immune system working like extra. When I get like any sign of like, you know, a sore throat or a clogged nose, I immediately like get the troops up by doing something bad for me. And the other, I don't know you guys enough to tell you the other one is just too embarrassing, but I have like just do stuff that might work your placebo effect. You won't get sick. I don't remember the last time I was sick.
Wow. There's actually, I could see a scientific reasoning why your strategy would work is it's the hormesis effect. That's like when you take toxins into your body, like you were saying, your body will like react to the toxins, and it can actually put your immune system into overdrive.
Yeah.
You know, and it can actually help you.
I do something bad for me that isn't going to kill me. In this case, it's always KFC. I hate KFC, but I do it and I feel like I'm getting sick.
Wow. That's really interesting that works. Although there's probably a more healthy way, like probably just eating lots of garlic, or there's all kinds of
ice cold showers, man. Ice cold showers.
There you go. Ice cold showers.
I always take cold showers. I never take hot showers. I take cold showers because if I ever like go fat, I'll kill myself, and cold showers actually like help you metabolize faster. So.
All right. Does anyone have any other eternal life strategies they would like to share? Anything you've learned in the news or anything interesting?
Well, I kind of have a strategy that kind of would be worth all the people who are doing the different diet tests and ideas could make some use of. The basic idea is be aware of a concept that I like to call the limiting factor concept. One of the things I used to find when I would try different vitamin approaches is I would take something new and I would get phenomenal results in the short term. And then after a while, there would be no add-on results. And I used to be kind of amazed by that. And then I started doing some research into something that actually in the business realm about something called the theory of constraints. And I started applying that back to, in my case, I was applying it to health because I was doing things as a bodybuilder to try different substances to see what I could do. And what I found is that what you want to be looking for is that whatever the thing that is going to do the best for you is the thing that is your current limiting factor. And that one substance, whatever it is, will give you results that are dramatically different than the results anybody else would get from it, because it's your limiting factor. It's not theirs. And if it's not, so one of the things you want to do when watching the different things that you try is to realize that when you take something that your body needed and was lacking, your whole body will come up to a level, and now all of a sudden you'll see it stop going up, even though you're now at a surplus with this new thing. And then some of the things that you had given up on might now be your limiting factor, and you can use that to raise it to another level. So be sure to kind of cycle through things and realize that when you're lacking, like it's one of the things that who was it? Was it Matt with the horns that said? Is that you got the horns there, Matt?
Yeah.
Is that you? Yeah. You said the thing about, for instance, the thing about taking it with fat. I know the same thing's true of coenzyme Q10. If you take it without it being fat soluble, you'll get a fraction of the results. So sometimes it's not just the one thing you take, but what you take with it that makes it make a big difference. So keep monitoring yourself and saying, okay, have I reached the limit of what this thing will do for me? And if I have, then just say, okay, maybe I could take less and see where it actually starts to make a difference, and then look for your other limits. So because they'll probably be in some other substance. So look at it as your own personal one-on-one. What is my body's limiting factor, and then use that to build with it.
I have a question for Ian Murphy. I have a question for
said-
Ian Murphy. So
he
Ian
said
Murphy's an
BRB.
artist. What?
He said BRB. He said be right back, so he might not.
Oh, okay. Well, who was going to talking? Who did I just interrupt?
Tony.
Yeah, but I was done.
Okay, well, I don't know.
I have a question
Well,
for
I
Sarah.
like
now.
what Tony
Wait a
was
sec-
saying because
Wait a second. Now you
if-
have a question for Sarah. So Sarah, you used to be a Muslim. I'm curious how your interaction with death, how your thoughts on death got affected when you kind of lost your faith in Islam, because I view these religions as kind of a coping mechanism for death. They have this afterlife, and it gives a lot of people a lot of comfort around the idea of death. But how did your thoughts change when you kind of lost that? Did you fear death more, like a lot of people do? Did you have an existential crisis? Now thinking, oh crap, what happens if I die? Am I just going to cease to exist? What happened to you? I'm curious.
It was a very critical time of my life, not just religiously. Couple things had just happened. I had my first love had just committed suicide at the time, and it kind of this all happened within the couple year span. There was a bunch of events that were related to death. First, I had the religion thing coming in and out of it. Then I had my own 12 stitches, and then I had the first love of my life commit suicide. And it was just this relationship with death that was more like frenemies. And when my friend died, instead of being sad that he left, I was more angry that he left me, kind of scenario. And that really got me thinking about death. I'm actually I don't want to, there's no such thing as pro-suicide, but if someone wants to kill themselves, and they really just feel like they're going to be happier in death, I feel like I'm in no place to judge that. The way I want eternal life, they want death. It's a different thing. I feel like if death wasn't forever, I'd probably die often. It's just the commitment part that I don't like about it. Aside from that, I don't think it's something I became scared of. It's more like something I came to understand is more natural and less mythical. No, I'm no longer concerned about what angel picks you up at the corner. It's more like a natural aspect now.
Interesting.
Actually, I might have.
So you don't believe it? You don't believe in hell anymore? Do you believe in any afterlife whatsoever? Or do you think people just cease to exist when they die, like I think?
I think of both, I would say. Just a second. I'm sorry that I'm just looking through. Yeah, this is a journal entry from God knows when, but it's one of the entries just randomly says, I remember this because I was going through it the other day. It says, I believe that someday when death comes knocking, I'll make a witty remark. Probably, that's it. It's not something I became to fear, just something oh no, now I gotta go. I don't, about hell, I just, man, I think it's really childish, the idea of it. Really? If someone comes up to me and I never heard of hell before and then they tell me that, I'm you're fucking with me. Just fuck off. There's no way. That's a real thing in the universe, there's this almighty God who's gonna put us in fire. What the heck? He couldn't even find something more advanced to do than fire? That doesn't add up. Sounds childish.
If you were God, would you create a hell and torture people forever?
No, I like so my family's actually not Muslim. We just lived in a Muslim area, which what made us Muslim. But essentially they're Alawite, and that's pagan. And their belief, they don't have a heaven or a hell. We're all demigods in a way, who are in training to be gods. And the way they see it, which I really like, I think it's my favorite story, is that you get reincarnated over and over and over again. And the essential thing is learning, hence why the Sumerians invented writing. And they believe that the man who invented writing is actually a prophet. And because their God said the purpose we exist on earth is to learn. And once our soul is done learning, it becomes God. There's no punishment. There is no reward. You're just in training, basically.
Interesting.
So
You
I
know,
like
the ancient legends of the fairies said that the fairies were creatures that like to torture people with fire, and it's kind of interesting. It's that judgmental spirit. That's what I like about Tinkerbell. Speaking of Tinkerbell, Ian Murphy, I have a question for you. You're an artist. Why haven't you drawn Tinkerbell yet, or have you? I would
Why? That's so strange to ask me.
gotta draw Tinkerbell.
All right, just for you, I'll start
For the
next week.
Yes, for the Eternal Life fan club. We need our own Tinkerbell artist.
I'll see what I can do.
Another question for Ian. Do you know anyone that's died? Have you taken a lesson from any? Can you take a lesson from any people that you've known that have died? In the spirit of Day of the Dead.
So nobody really close to me died. I did have a grandpa that died 2 years ago, and actually quite recently, my grandma last week. She's in the hospital with some sort of liver disease, I think. But I think she still has a couple more years to live. We're gonna try to get her back in the States. She's in Bolivia right now. But yeah, nobody really has impacted me. So I guess once my parents go, because they're not gonna, they already told me up front that they don't want to live forever. I'll just have to see what happens then.
Now, Ian,
Wow.
were you an atheist your whole life, or were you religious at one point?
I was.
I know you're really, yeah.
A very weak Catholic for, I guess, 16, 18 years of my life, and the last 5 years, I slowly got out of it thanks to the online internet communities, and yeah, that was life changing.
Wow. So I want to know, how was your relationship with death before and after? So when you were Catholic, what were your views on death? And then now, in comparison, now that you don't have this safety net of an afterlife and God and all this stuff, now how do you handle death?
Well, I'm increasingly scared of it. Before I wasn't. I was like, I thought it was really inevitable. I thought everybody would just go to heaven. That there wouldn't be any consequences. Like, why would a God create hell? That was kind of ridiculous. And I don't know. I've only been like a transhumanist for about a year, so I'm still relatively new at this. But for the most part, I've been trying to helping Zoltan with his campaign, and that's what I've been focused on.
Awesome. So I heard you showed me you hired like a professional artist to draw something. How's that coming along?
Not so great. He kind of stopped,
Oh,
but well, it was good while it lasted. Let's see. I guess I can send you the picture through the chat.
yeah.
Do you have any more questions for me?
It's your Twitter profile banner, right?
It was,
Another question
now
for you
Pepe.
is, do you do anything for your health? You like a health nut like
Oh my
like
gosh.
me?
I think I might be the worst one in the bunch. I've been eating my Halloween candy.
Oh no. Oh no. We have to.
Yeah,
we
I
have
need to work on that. Yeah.
Well, you're in the right place.
Hey, I eat bad stuff like a lot, but I think they like help me live longer, like in my opinion, because like when I was a kid, I was just eating dirt and grass and bugs and all this stuff all the time, and I think I was just letting my body like kind of be really good at being on Earth, and I feel like, oh, bad stuff, like it's not like we magically make stuff that like we're getting our candy from like the moon or something. So just let everything around me be part of me and me be part of everything, and I feel like at some point I'll become so shitty just like Earth, and maybe I'll merge in with it and death won't notice me.
Oh wow, that's some interesting thoughts. You know what? This just is making me think I have to make more cooking videos and like show people how to make delicious desserts and treats in a healthy way, because you really don't have to sacrifice taste when you go into healthy food. Like I eat chocolate and healthy hot chocolate, and I make chocolates, and it's all healthy, and you just make so many good tasting, delicious, healthy desserts that you don't need to like eat candy and junk food and all this stuff. Good food tastes so good.
Yeah, I love cooking. I was actually planning to somewhere around here. I have my own menu of paleo foods that I made, like a bunch of recipes. But I love cooking. I just don't cook like specifically healthy foods.
I made one video called Cooking with Pepe on this channel. And that might actually be a good reoccurring theme, have Pepe in my cooking shows. Pepe and Tinkerbell. So what do you think of the alt-right, Sarah? Because I saw you had Pepe, you had a Pepe Trump. So does that mean you're in the alt-right? That's a lot of people would assume.
Pepe has nothing to do with the alt-right. Gosh.
I know. It's like they Pepe, yeah, exactly. People just think it's a wrong assumption, because Pepe does not mean you're in the alt-right at all. And so I kind of just throw that in people's faces. That's why I use Pepe, because like if they're just going to assume I'm an alt-right just because I have Pepe, then they're stupid and they deserve to be wrong.
It's the green frog of peace, for God's sake.
So, the Day of the Dead. Any other lessons we can take from dead people to learn from their mistakes?
What are your guys' thoughts on like reincarnation? I mean, like if energy cannot be like destroyed and made and destroyed and whatever, like doesn't that mean like if something exists, it's just gonna stay around somehow? Like, is it gonna be a ghost? Is it gonna like move on, or do we just not exist like that? Are we just a bunch of reactions going on in our brains? You know.
That's a good question. Before I answer that, Ian Murphy, are you leaving? You say ciao?
No. I was saying bye to Matt.
Oh, Matt's left.
Yeah, he's gotta run.
Matt left. Okay.
I think he just left. Yeah.
So yeah, reincarnation. I don't believe in it.
Do we exist?
Does anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Do we exist beyond the chemical reactions in our brain?
Yeah, I'm a physicalist, so or you could say materialist. So I just believe our consciousness is all physical. It's just our brain and the biochemical reactions in our brain, which is really a horrible mindset. I mean, it's just incredibly scary to think that your whole being is just in your brain, and if something happened to your brain, you're dead. But that's what I think. But
yeah, one of my biggest fears is like going crazy. I say as I put on my cat ears, but that's not the point. I think one of my biggest fears is like losing my mind. Like the scariest movies for me are usually movies where like crazy people are involved, because I'm like, oh my God, like why exist at that point? Like what's the point? So
like becoming the crazy cat lady, that's your fear.
Like becoming schizo, or like, you know, being dementia is like a really scary thing.
You know, I totally agree with you. It's actually one of my biggest fears. Besides death, the second biggest fear I have is dementia and Alzheimer's disease. But it's ironic you put on those cat ears, right, when you talk about your fears of schizophrenia and mental illness, because actually cats are the #1 carrier of a parasite called toxoplasmosis. This is so interesting. Everyone should look this up. Yeah, toxoplasmosis. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, toxoplasmosis, it actually can contribute, it can increase the risk of Alzheimer's and dementia. And it's this parasite that tons of the world is infected by. It's also a sexually transmitted disease, but cats carry this, and you can get it from just like your cat litter and the dust, or just like if the cat scratches you, you can get it. It's really scary.
Yeah, so who wants
So,
a
yeah.
pet cat? Because I don't want my cat anymore.
So you have a
just
cat?
kidding. I don't want to say I have a cat because he's literally like, I'm not making fun of him. He is autistic. He's never near us. Like, we just leave food for him and he's always outside, or like he's never, like, you're not allowed to touch him kind of mode for him. And he just runs around. Like, I don't think he's in the house. And when he's weird, like, I'll walk the dog and he'll come walking with us, but not too close. But aside from that, that's the only interaction he has with us.
What do you think about getting a pet kangaroo? Speaking of kangaroos, do you fear the brew?
I don't think I get the reference.
Do you know who the Roo is?
No.
You don't know who the Roo is? Wow. The Roo is it's the mascot of my favorite atheist YouTube channel. Definitely worth checking out. Atheism is Unstoppable. And yeah, he has this kangaroo as his mascot. He's a Hillary supporter, but he's awesome. He wants to live forever, and he's a great person.
I have a question. What's you guys' thoughts on like this big tie between the far left and atheism? Like, I feel like it's like, I'm kind of in shock that I'm talking to a bunch of atheists who are not in the far left.
Yeah,
Well,
I know
I
what you mean. It's strange,
Stefan's
isn't it?
Molyneux, I think he said something that like 70% of atheists are left-leaning liberals. So it is kind of rare to find an atheist that is willing to vote Republican or just libertarian, I suppose.
Yeah, I feel like they give atheists like a bad rep.
Yeah, especially I'm kind of annoyed lately with Sam Harris. Sam Harris is kind of emblematic of this kind of far left atheist, and now he's been like going off on Trump and coming up with these ridiculous arguments, really propaganda. And it's just, he's not being reasonable. He's not really sticking to logic. He's more like, his arguments are coming from like almost like an emotional, visceral hatred of Trump. It's just weird.
Has anyone seen Hillary's Twitter in the past 24 hours?
I've not.
She is like, she's currently, like, she's been tweeting stuff that make her sound like the Alex Jones of the left. Like, she's gone full tinfoil hat. She's like all capsing, like Trump has his own secret service. It's just like, she's gone completely mad. It's kind of infecting.
Wow. That is, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, she's been claiming that Trump has his own secret service, and we're like,
you know whose thoughts I've never heard on Trump? Mad Matt.
Oh,
What do you think about Trump?
Anyway.
Huh?
I said I couldn't even vote anyway. But politics, I just don't like. It's so crooked to its core. It's just so hypocritical. The corporations and just throw money at people, and then they're kind of just slaves to whoever got them in that position of power. At least here in the United States, it's just so corrupt to its core. To be involved in it just almost makes me angry, and I don't like to be in that state for very long. So to really follow it, it's just like I could be studying something else right now. What if today's the day that I could have been reading something that could have been profound, and instead I'm watching this bananas people on the news, which is feeding you what they want you to believe. So that's why I don't talk about it. It just doesn't really have much relevance as I would think it would. None of the runners are about longevity, from what I can tell. They don't really throw funding into any of that research. So I mean, maybe if we had a candidate that had some things going on that was more for our future. But they don't really think even one generation from now, let alone 13. So, none of the things that they've done have been talked about. Like here in the United States, you know what they need to do is they need to get rid of the insane funding that goes to the military. None of them have said that they are going to drop military funding from all the taxes that we pay. Instead, It just goes to more military things. That's the last thing we need here in the United States. But instead, we want to build a wall around Mexico or something. What the hell?
Wait, Mexico has a wall.
You're against the wall?
Mexico has a wall on its south border.
You think a wall's going to keep me out, Rowan? You think they build a wall and I'm in Mexico? That's going to stop me from getting to U.S.?
We need mines.
I don't
Mines.
think
That would make a good video.
I don't think the wall is actually meant to stop people. It's more like, hey, use the gate, you know. It's use the door. It's kind of like a very big sign that says use the door, please. And then if you don't use the door, then you're trespassing and we can shoot you. But that's the way I see it.
Exactly. I mean, I'm definitely so in favor of the wall because we really need to have legal immigration. And it's about the security of American citizens. A lot of the illegal immigrants come in and then they commit horrible crimes such as murder, rape, and worse. And doesn't get much worse than that, does it? And then it's just horrible. So we need to know who's coming into the country. It needs to be legal. They need to be vetted extremely. And that goes for refugees or whoever else is coming into the country. It's all got to be legal. So that's the idea behind the wall. I feel like Trump is actually creating the foundation for a glorious future. I think, you know, he is thinking further down the line. This is just setting up the foundation, the core of America. So it's going to be glorious, open to, you know, real progress in science and technology. And ultimately, I think a lot of this is going to come from the free market, capitalism. And Trump is all about that. He's the ultimate capitalist. And that's what we need, I think. Right now, we need more capitalism, less socialism, draining everyone's money, stealing our money, and deciding where it goes, right? That's what socialism is. It's deciding, oh, you know, I'm going to take your money and I'm going to give it to these medical insurance companies, and you're going to get this medical care. And like, well, what if I don't want that medical care? What if I want medical care from some private corporation? I don't want my money being stolen from me by the socialists. That's the way I think of it. So I think Trump is ultimately is going to help us all live forever. That's make America live forever, people.
Yeah, I feel like Trump has been in the scene where living forever meant the right investment, and Hillary's in the scene where living forever meant selling your soul to the devil kind of thing, or being a reptilian or whatever. So maybe, yeah, we have better chances with Trump.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How about you, Ian Murphy? I've not really heard you give your little spiel on Trump. Why are you for Trump?
Oh my gosh. I love that he's entertaining, honestly. I'm hoping that, well, not really hoping. I feel like most of his policies aren't really going to go through, but I think maybe he'll succeed on immigration. I have no idea about how he's going to work things out for the economy. And I do think he'll succeed with the Muslim ban. Well, or at least the vetting of refugees, or no, not refugees, just the Muslims coming in. But
I don't think he'll succeed in that one.
No? Okay. Well, he's really funny. I like him for that. So
he's a true alpha male and a strong leader. I'm a little fanboy. I love him.
I was like, at his rally, I was like 10 feet away from him, and I was like, oh my God.
Awesome. Anyone else go to a Trump rally? I went to a Trump rally.
I like staying home.
I signed up for a Hillary rally that was in town, and because I really wanted to, like, you know, get a peek of her breakdowns. I wanted to be there when she falls again, right?
That's funny.
So I signed up, and then like her thing like went straight to my spam. I didn't even know where it was, when it was. I think that like I don't even think it was real. Like, has anyone seen the videos of people going, hold on, this actually is green screened? Has anyone seen those?
No, I
No.
think that was debunked. So if you watch Armored Skeptic, he did something with the there's this guy that works for Alex Jones, and he actually, I think he made the conspiracy up, like, oh, hey, look, it looks like Hillary Clinton has like a green screen effect on the, but then
No, it's not just that. Like, if you look at the rallies, videos of the rallies uploaded by the Clinton campaign, the people holding the cameras, like their phones up to like, if you look at the screen, it's not what's actually, like, she's not there. Like, it's just so weird.
So yes, it's supposed to build up perception, like as if she has an audience, but she doesn't really. It's probably like maybe 30 people there.
Yeah.
This whole election's about perception. It's not even policy whatsoever. So.
Wait. You say it's not about policy?
No, because the people already made up their minds, and the people that are, they don't know, people that are, who am I going to vote for? Probably the Bernie people. It really is going to matter about like who looks really bad on TV.
Yeah.
I think they're voting for Joel Steen to back up our currency with crystals.
The crazy thing about this election is that this could be a real turning point, because if Hillary was to win, we'd be flooded with so much more illegal immigrants, and immigrants like that usually vote Democratic. So the Democratic Party essentially would be like full steam ahead, and maybe other parties wouldn't have a chance anymore because all the illegal immigrants would be voting Democratic, and that's kind of the problem. This could really be the last chance for more conservative positions to take power, like Trump. Yes, I do wish Zoltan had a chance. Yeah, it'd be great. Maybe another time. Another election.
I think, isn't he gonna like run for the Democratic Party for 2020?
That would be wise. That would be wise. I don't know. I haven't heard that. Have you heard that?
I think I read it somewhere. I'm not 100% sure. Haley, you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just hungry at the moment.
Yeah. Still eating my chocolate. Probably shouldn't.
Anything else cool in the news that we should be talking about? Oh, you know what? On Facebook today, I saw the #1 trending topic was Peter Thiel. #1 trending topic. How cool is that? I haven't gotten to see the video or whatever, but he's been like doing more interviews and speeches about why he supports Trump. Like, I love it. Thank you, Peter Thiel, for like showing the way.
That's the third day I've seen him on my Facebook feed for the top trending thing, so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and he's like majorly into the life extension and wanting to live forever. And so to have someone like him being a big voice in support of Trump is really, really beneficial, and it makes me look less crazy. It kind of validates me in a way, because a lot of transhumanists or whatever have been giving me flack just for supporting Trump, and yeah. So,
I feel like
what are you vaping, Sarah? What is in the vape?
Like ingredients or
Yeah, what ingredients? Is it like medicinal? I've experimented with some medicinal type of vaporizers. Like one time I was vaporizing deer antler velvet in a vaporizer form. It was pretty cool.
No, it's just like something that I probably shouldn't be vaping. It's like vegetable glycerin and almond flavor. But let's see, I had a question. Got it.
So when you went on TV, was that your first experience being interviewed and like being broadcast before the world? Was that nerve-wracking?
Not really.
Do you think it went well? Did they ask you cool questions?
Yeah, they felt comfortable with it. I don't tend to watch, like, I haven't seen the Milo thing, and I haven't really seen the Fox thing either. I just kind of like, I'm like, okay, I'll do it, then I'll never look at it, kind of thing. Yeah, I know there's no taking it back, and the best way to not be stressed about it is to not know what's in it.
Awesome. I can't wait to watch that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I might have like some more stuff coming. I've been doing this radio show called American by Choice recently. It's a really good show. I mean, I'm not just saying that, it actually is. It follows like current trends and how to tackle current events as a American who believes in the American values. Specifically, American values is the key word. And what is considered American, what's considered un-American, etc.
Cool. Sounds very cool.
So I have this, like, what bothers me is that, like, you know how they have bionic eyes, right? They have limbs that are artificial and they have all this cool stuff, but they'll only give it to someone if they need it. Like, I don't want to wait till I get cancer to get like more colors in my vision. I want it now. And they won't do that. And I feel like that upsets me.
Absolutely. See, that's exactly why we need more just the free market to run wild. I think the free market capitalism is gonna we're gonna see a lot more progress faster in all these technologies. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
But absolutely. So if they did come out with this technology, would you like, are you into the idea of like becoming a part cyborg and all that stuff?
Oh yeah, I think I'm really into intelligent design, and I think what we're making right now as people is better than whatever this was made, you know. So I'd like to get some of that intelligent design in me.
If they had like a computer chip you could put into your brain, would you be worried that maybe someone would hack the computer chip and then, you know, there'd be security issues and they could get into your thoughts? And is that a concern of yours? That would be a concern of mine.
It wouldn't be at all, because like, if they're gonna get into my thoughts, then good luck deciphering them. I can't even understand them.
Okay, well, what if they could hack the computer chip and like explode it or something, or make it malfunction and then, you know,
Or
some
give you false
danger in that?
memories.
Yeah, you're just as likely to get blown up by a Muslim, so whatever.
False memories, that's an interesting idea though. They could implant false, oh my gosh, they could really alter who you are if they're putting false memories in your
Yeah,
brain.
but I mean, okay, with the false memories, you know about the Mandela effect, right?
No, I've never heard of it. What's that?
It's when, oh my God, you guys can see me now. Okay, it's when you believe something happened, but it really didn't, or vice versa, and then you have a lot of people like when did Mandela die?
I don't know.
Don't Google it, but like a rough estimate. How long ago did Mandela die?
I actually don't remember that he died. I'm so out
I
of
actually
touch with
don't
the news.
care.
I don't care at all. I mean,
Yeah, see, if you ask
I don't know.
people, a lot of people will say he died in prison, but he died a few years ago. And it's like, there's a lot of people with two different memories. So I got another question. How many E's is Febreze spelled with? How do you spell Febreze?
2 E's.
One.
You now
Three E's, because there's two,
No.
and then there's one at the end.
me nuts, because I remember Febreze being spelled Febreeze, right? Because
Yeah.
that's how you say it. But then I googled Febreze, and like, no, actually I passed by in my kitchen and I saw a Febreze. I'm like, what? This got one E on it? When did we get the knockoff stuff? So I googled it, and turns out Febreze has one E in it. So I went on and I found out someone has actually asked Febreze on Facebook on their page, hey, weren't you spelled with 2 E's? And Febreze was like, no, we were never spelled with 2 E's. So that drove me nuts because I was so sure it was spelled with 2 E's. So I went on Google, and you know how you could refine the search to a certain time period?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I refined the Internet Archives and I looked into like Walmart, Target, etc. for Febreze, it was spelled with 2 E's.
Oh, wow.
I got like proof that it was spelled with 2 E's, but then they're denying like that it was ever spelled with 2 E's. And now if you ever pick up a Febreze, it's spelled with 1 E. So is that a false memory? Do we all just believe that it was spelled with 2 E's, or
Sounds like the Illuminati.
or you know, right? The
Sounds like a
Illuminati's got
glitch in the Matrix.
It is. There's a bunch of them going on. Like there's one with there's the
Bernstein Bears?
Mandela one is the one with, yeah, the Bernstein Bears. Like, is it Bernstein or Bernstein Bears? Like, a lot of people have a memory of a certain thing. A lot of people don't, and it's called the Mandela effect.
But these are like really tiny, subtle things. Like I'm talking about like really major, drastic ones, like forgetting your loved ones and forgetting your own goals and shifting completely opposite from what your current goals were. The things that define you as a person.
But how do you know that didn't already happen? Like, what makes you so sure?
I mean, that idea is just disturbing to me. Like, I'm sure if that happened to me, like right now, it wouldn't faze me.
Yeah, like if you're okay now, it might have happened.
But,
so you shouldn't worry about it, because if it does happen, you'll be just as okay as you are now.
But what if the false memories make me want to die? Like, what if I'm like in this religious state, like, I'm not gonna live forever and all that, and then I lose it.
Yeah, it sounds like a bad idea to you now, but it wouldn't. If you change, like if you're different, you're not gonna be upset then, you know? You're gonna be upset. What you don't know can't hurt you.
What's interesting is that a lot of what you're talking about seems to happen with heart transplant patients. Some people that receive new hearts end up loving new things and hating things that they used to love. Like they'll love hockey all of a sudden, and they'll be like, I don't know why I want to watch every game, because they actually received it from a person that used to be a hockey player. Weird things like that. Very interesting.
So are we really us, or are we, do we ever really know how true we think we are and how real our reality is? But does it really matter?
What really matters is that we can live forever. That's what matters.
Yeah, well, we won't do lots of living if Hillary Clinton gets elected. Everyone buy Campbell's soup.
Everyone buy Campbell's soup?
If Hillary gets elected, I'm stocking up on
If somebody bribes me with a lot of money to vote for Hillary, I might do it. My vote's not going to matter so much.
Is the Campbell's soup for what, food storage or something?
Yeah, we're building bunkers. If Hillary wins, she's going to press that button for sure.
Stock up on peanut butter. I would avoid the Campbell's soup because it's high in MSG. Really, Campbell's soup is the worst.
So the reason why I really hate Hillary is I have this personal, I judged her. Well, yes, I absolutely. No, that has to do with why I hate her, because she's not any woman. She's a woman who's been put in a situation that has made her personality the kind of woman who would do extremes to prove that she is good enough. She's not there is some women in politics who go into office in dresses and they embrace their femininity, but Hillary's been put in a position where she got her femininity got humiliated in front of the entire country, right? And I feel like that kind of traumatized her subconscious to where she's at now is people will be like, please don't push that button, and she'll be like, why? Is it because I'm a woman? People are like, no, it just doesn't make sense, and she'll think it's because she has internal issues. I really think she does, and I think that's what makes her dangerous.
I think she was that way before she got humiliated.
But I think that kind of makes her dangerous, not just the humiliation part. I think she's got a dangerous personality. She'll do something just to prove that she can, not because it's a good idea.
I would agree with that assessment. She's I just get the vibe that she's kind of a psychopathic, and that's from her actions. She laughed about getting a guy out of prison a guy was like, this guy was like a rapist, like a child
A
rapist.
pedophile.
Yeah, and she got him out of prison, and then she laughed about it and said, "Oh, my faith in polygraph tests have been forever." I forgot exactly, but anyways, she's totally got exposed.
The thing that has amazed me about this is the extent to which the media and so many other groups are behind her. Their level of either pure evil or cognitive dissonance is off the charts. I've never seen the equal of the level of cognitive dissonance. There's no question that this woman had totally failed as a Secretary of State. She's ruined the Middle East. There's no question that she's done one crazy thing after another that was skirting on the edge of the law. And yet people are defending her, in the media. I do not understand. There's got to be something going on that is just
she's paying them off. So.
Look at it as a very realistic version of a deal with the devil. I think, when you look at where the paycheck comes from, when you look at the things that get promised in exchange and the handshaking that happens, people just kind of would do crazy stuff for that deal.
Well, you can't. I was just responding to Ian there. You can't pay people off enough to get the thing.
Unless they're corrupt.
You can't pay these many people. I don't think it's paying. I think it's collusion in the sense of we're criminals together, and we got to keep people in the dark, because if someone exposes us, then we're all exposed. So I don't think she's directly paying, but
that's pretty much what happened with like the Anthony Weiner stuff. Like,
it seems to me like it's kind of amazing that everybody on here that is interested in all the politics of the U.S. is kind of pro Hillary. I can understand Haley not being that engaged by the Trumps. I mean, not pro Hillary, but anti Hillary and pro Trump. But it's kind of lets you think there must be something about the thought processes people go through when they can fall for what Hillary is doing. I still don't understand. It's the same kind of thought process that let you fall for the idea that aging's a good thing, I guess. Because everyone agrees with that, almost. Everyone except for us and if people like us agrees that aging's that aging's a necessary part of life. And it's, we don't agree with that.
I mean, the question is, would you we end up again with that, that dilemma with the train, and then they have one person or 5 people kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about?
No, don't know the dilemma.
All right,
I've heard about that. It's like an ethical question, right?
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Do you push someone? Do you push a fat person in front of the train to save
do you
5 other
kill
people?
one to save 5 that would have died otherwise? Yeah, no, okay, now I know the dilemma.
No, like the train was going to hit 5 people, and regardless of the train was going to hit 5 people if you do nothing. If you push a lever, it hits 1 person on the other track. So if you push the lever, you kill that person. But if you don't push the lever, you save their life, but 5 people die. So it's either you commit murder or you save a life. What's more valuable? But I mentioned that because like the question is, would you exchange your dreams, your personal goals for the nation's well-being? Like if some reason some reptilian from Hillary's side shows up, and I love saying that word reptilian, is just, I can't think of a better word to use, and they go like, hey, we're gonna give you life forever, but you gotta shill for her really bad. Would you do it? Like they'll give you, I'm not gonna go into details, but they'll give you everything you want, like all your dreams and goals and wishes, but you gotta shill for her really bad. Would you do it?
I wouldn't trust them. I think they would kill me afterwards.
Would you make a deal with the devil kind of thing? That's really what it's.
Yeah, so there was a Twilight Zone where this woman comes to this woman was having financial trouble, her and her husband, and this man shows up at the door and says, "I'll give you this box, and in this box is a button, and if you push the button, you'll get $10,000." And that was going to make her life phenomenal, and And she said, well, the $10,000 would solve all her problems. And he said, she said, what's the catch? And the guy said, well, if you push the button, someone will die. But don't worry, it'll be someone you don't know. And did anybody else see that?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, it was great, because I remember sitting there looking at it, and obviously $10,000 wouldn't affect me. But I started thinking, what level of money would I push the button for? And it was before I got to the punchline of the movie. But it was a pretty interesting thought. And then it gets to a point where finally she can't stand all the stresses in her life, and she pushes the button. Nothing happens. Then the next day, the guy shows up and he hands her the $10,000, and she says, "Is that it?" And he says, "Yes, that's it." And she said, "Well, did someone die?" And he said, "Of course." And then she says, "Okay," and hands him the box, and he starts to go away. And she goes, "Wait a minute, where are you going with that box?" And he said, "I'm going to give it to someone else. But don't worry, it will be someone you don't know." Point is, if she never pressed the button, it wouldn't get handed on to someone who was going to get her killed. And it's sort of the moral dilemma is if you would be willing to kill someone else for your own good, then someone else has the right to be willing to kill you for their own good.
Yeah, but see, like that follows do unto others as you want them to do unto you, or something like that. And I don't think that goes well with like survival, like in a more realistic, natural setting. I feel like that dilemma wouldn't exist as much, because kind of like the fittest survival kind of thing, survival for the fittest kind of scenario would be more like it in the real world.
Except that the concept of survival of the fittest is always portrayed from the point of view of competition to the death, and that's not really the actual fittest survivors. Were not the people who were the most bloodthirsty. They were the people who were the most cooperative, the people who would build cities and work together and cooperate. Those people did far better than the people who would violently oppose people over the small part. So it's the question of the long-term good versus the short-term good. It's you guys know the tit for tat algorithm for game theory. There's something called the prisoner's dilemma, where you have two prisoners, and if neither one of them confesses, they'll both spend a year in jail. Whereas if one confesses, he gets away scot-free, and the other one spends 5 years in jail. And so the theory is, which should you do? And that's a lot of our problems are like that, where you, the person, will have unlimited upside if you defect from the group. And it turns out that the right strategy to play in a short-term lifespan is to defect, because you get out. But the best strategy for all people is to cooperate, and each of you take a year, but then you both get out. And when they run simulations, it turns out that the people who start out with the idea that I will cooperate first, and then I will respond in kind to the way other people cooperate, works far better than some of the most sophisticated programs they could make. It's basically the idea that cooperation gives you a gain that is smaller than you get from defecting or from cheating another person. But the fact that you have cooperated sets you up to cooperate again and again and again. In other words, you could cheat me once if I come into a store and you sell me something for more than you should, or you could give me a good deal. And if you give me a good deal, I'll come back and buy again, and I'll come back and buy again, and I'll come back and buy again, and you will be better off, and I will be better off. Whereas if you treat me once, you're only a little bit better off once. So in general, the cooperating strategy does actually work pretty well.
You guys want to watch a Peter Thiel speech together and see? This is just an experiment. Let's just try to see if we could watch this together. Want to see it?
The 13-minute one at the press club?
Yeah, because I haven't seen it yet. Let's just, I just want to see if this works. If we can if I could screen share and we could somehow watch this together. Let's see. Let's see, is it working? Let's see. Almost, wait a second. Screen share. Oh. Almost, wait, I think I just have to click present to everyone. You guys can talk until I get this figured out.
So what's your guys' thoughts on ghosts? It's in the spirit of Halloween. That's a good question. Like
that is a great question.
You know, if you're like laying in bed late at night and you hear something spooky, do you actually get scared or? Like,
I've got a brother-in-law who thinks he saw a ghost. He's pretty sure. Both him and his family, his whole family was sitting at a house, and they're pretty sure that all of them, 3 of them, saw a ghost all at the same time. They were pretty terrified by it.
So sometimes I see ghosts, but I'm convinced that it's all psychological in my head, and it's just figments of my imagination.
I'm really glad I know my reaction because so I was sleeping at a friend's house last June or something like that, and I remember the dream I was having. So I was having this dream that I was like trying to go to sleep, but there was this girl who was murdered and she was sitting by the windowsill, and every time I tried to go to sleep she tried to choke me, and that's pretty terrifying, right? Like I remember the dream, it was like a nightmare. But my friend the next day, she's asking me, she's like, Sarah, what were you dreaming? And I'm like, why? What happened? She's like, you talked in your sleep. And I'm like, what did I say? And she said, my exact words were, can you stop fucking doing that?
Wow.
So I at least know my reaction is like, can you not? Like,
I wish I've seen ghosts before. I mean, I would love if that was true. I would love if ghosts were real, because it'd just be cool. It would go against my materialist, physicalist view of the world, and which is just really a scary, bleak view of the world. So I'd love if there was something supernatural or metaphysical that was happening, but I don't believe it. I've never seen any real proof for it.
so have you tried experimenting with a Ouija board, you know, in the spirit of Halloween, get a Ouija board out there, give it a try, see if it's actually
That stuff doesn't work. You know what? Psychedelics work though.
Yeah,
They're much more effective than just doing a Ouija.
I'm too afraid to experiment with a Ouija board. Even though I don't believe it, it's like, it's possible. And then if it turned out to be real, and then because I experimented with this Ouija board, I have all these demons attached to me. I don't want that. I'm afraid of that.
But it would settle your curiosity.
Yeah, but I tend to do things with the mindset of better safe than sorry. Like if it turned out to be real and then I got all these demons following me and then, oh crap, I'm screwed.
Yeah, I'm probably going to die laughing.
I mean, I think there was some in the creation of making a horror film. I forgot what it was called. It was like with this little child and she got possessed, and then I think some of the crew members died. I forgot what it was called. It was the really, really scary movie back in the day.
Well, have you ever had like an event in your life that wasn't necessarily seeing a ghost, but was just like, you know, like I was one time, I was in London once, and I was I used to smoke weed, I no longer do, and I was really high. So I stopped, and my phone wasn't on me, so there's no way this could have been tampered with. But I really didn't want to hang out with my friends. I was just like, you know what, I'm too high for this shit, let me go. And they were like, no, hang out, we're going to a fun party. And I just had to like come up with some shit on the top of my head. And I was just like, my grandma died, I gotta go. So I do go, and I told them my grandma died, and that was like the last I've seen them that night. And they all confirmed the story the next day. But then when I got home and I checked my phone that I left charging, my mom had sent me a message that my grandma did die. And I was just like, what? Like, spot on, Sarah. But on a serious note, has anyone had an experience where you just kind of was like wondering if there is more going around than just physical aspects of life? And senses, physical senses. Has anyone had more than just physical senses experience?
I had weird premonitions when I was a kid driving in a car. As we were driving a car, I was riding with my mom, and I would see cars coming around a corner in the wrong lane, and sure enough, they would be. And this happened to me about 4 times. And each time I, told my mom to slow down, and would slow down, and everything was fine. And so when I first started driving, for the first probably 8 months that I drove, I would pass people on blind curves because I thought I could tell if people were coming around in the car or not. And I was right pretty much every time. That's why I'm here now. and then somebody told me, Tony, you only have to be wrong once, and I quit doing it. But up until then, I swear I thought I could see if a car was coming around a curve.
Like I think we're discussing what's called a sixth sense, right?
Yeah. In my mind, if I was driving along and I didn't think that the car, like the event that happened in my mom when I was riding with my mom, that really convinced me that I had this sixth sense, was I not only saw a car coming around the curve in our lane, I saw that it would be a police car. And I told my mom to slow down. And when she slowed down, sure enough, a police car came around the curve in our lane, and she had barely missed it because I told her to slow down. And so after that happened, I was pretty sure that I had precognitive senses about seeing cars coming around curves.
That's a very specific thing. But what about, like, is the sixth sense the same as intuition, or is it 2 different things? And like, where do we draw the line between intuition and sixth sense, and what is intuition?
I equate that to something almost like a deja vu. That's a weird feeling when you get it, because as it's happening, you recall it, and that seems to me to have some kind of correlation with it. How it plays into effect and how you can utilize it, that's beyond me. But I have them more often now than before. Anyone else?
I feel like everyone has intuition to some extent. Like, you ever just, left a party 5 minutes before the cops showed up, or you just felt, you ever go through a something isn't right kind of thing, but then someone else shows up with bad news? Like, is that intuition? And I feel like everyone has that.
Oh yeah, you think about somebody and they call you a minute later.
Yeah, exactly. But what's the source of that then? Like, is there, like, because the way I see this, there could only be 2, well, not could only be 2, there could be more, but from my perspective, the 2 different scenarios I see that happening is either that because we are only in a 3-dimensional world, then sometimes we get a little bit, mixed up with time glitches, basically, or B, so dimension glitches is A, or B is that everything is so much that everything around you is not real, and it's all only part of your reality, and then sometimes your brain races itself to make that reality happen, and then that's where you get intuition. And either way, it's scary, but
Well, the car thing was specific enough that I ended up thinking that, if I'd been wrong, I'd have been dead. And I used to pass people, I'd be in a hurry and I'd pass them on curves. And so I ended up believing in Everett's many worlds theory. I thought, well, there's enough universes that I happen to be the guy who's been right every time. And all those other guys, all those other universes, I'm dead on the road somewhere.
So my dad's a Buddhist, and he believes that if you meditate for a long time, you increase your awareness, and that can also like the future, and just sort of like, and it'll sort of like warn you. Like, he says that he believes that there's this being inside of you that will sort of give you that information, and once you reach the enlightenment, then you kind of already know. But I'm really skeptical about that. But I'm game for it. I'd like to try meditation. And
when we talk about living forever, if we take intuition to be like a thing that, our mind exists, and then I know that some people don't agree that we exist beyond our mind, but could it possible to live forever beyond our bodies?
That would be the best case scenario. That would be great, but unfortunately, we have little evidence to support that, or almost no evidence, but that would be the best ever.
My concern about that is to me, it'd be just like being in a teleportation machine. If there's a ghost walking around looking like me, how do I know it's me? I mean, if I died and then a ghost comes back and says, I am the ghost of Tony Renault, maybe there is an apparition that acts like me and has all my memories, but I actually didn't make the jump. Some other apparition was created. So even then I would be, no, I'm not going to try it.
Or what if you're living in virtual reality and your clone is the one that's sort of like trying to bother you it's like, hey, wake up.
The clone's trying to what? Wake you up?
Like you could probably have a bunch of clones of yourself and then you put the virtual reality goggles on and you're living this life and then they just sort of appear out of nowhere, like trying to mess with your video game. Your video game as in life.
Yeah, you're going real Plato there, Ian. Like, what if nothing is real?
I'm trying to be pragmatic. Like, I don't actually believe in that stuff, but it's fun to entertain that kind of idea.
Well, you guys know Smoot's idea that we're probably in a simulation. You know why he believes that, right? You guys have all heard that, which is the guy the George Smoot is a famous cosmologist, and he thinks that we're probably all in a simulation because the amount of eons that we'll be able to simulate our reality is far in excess of the amount of time we've been in our reality. So if you go, say, 200 years in the future, you're going to have simulations. You're going to be able, with your desktop computer, to simulate the entire history of the world every couple of hours. And with that kind of ability to simulate every person's thoughts in the world, it's going to be kind of ridiculous to think that none of those simulations will realize they're a simulation. It's kind of ridiculous to think that we're in the one thing that happened to actually be real when all these simulations are out there.
Hey, guys, I want to show you guys this cool article. You guys seeing my screen share?
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is a 26-year-old guy, and he looks like he has Highlander syndrome. And look at him. He looks like a freaking 10-year-old.
I'm so jealous.
So this is incredible, isn't it? It's also dubbed Peter Pan. He's dubbed the Peter Pan of South Korea. Okay. This guy's 26 years old. He drinks beer. He goes on dates and clubbing. Highlander syndrome. So we need to harness this power. We need to figure out what's going on.
They're not studying him? I'm sure they gotta be.
But I'm sure.
It's does oxidization work the same for his body in a way? Like, is he gonna die looking young, or is he just gonna not get physically, biologically old? You know what I mean?
That's a great question.
Is
I'm
it
not
just
sure.
physical, or is it deeper than that?
I'm hoping it's a genetic default. That way they can figure out the genes that are actually activated to keep them youthed up. I'm guessing it's a genetic defect.
Hey, look.
Don't Asians already look pretty young until maybe they're already 40 or 50, and then suddenly all the wrinkles just show up?
Yeah.
So he might look.
He loves Scarlett Johansson
until he's 40.
Yeah, what if he is he gonna get heart failure around when he's technically 60? You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure that's a possibility with genetic problems.
But the cool thing is, says he's in good health. So a lot of these genetic things, the people can't function normally. He appears to be in great health and still looks like a 10-year-old.
He said.
It also says
the doctors say he's in good health, though.
It also says it's difficult to prove the authenticity of the documentary's claims.
Oh yeah, what if it's all just a big hoax, right?
Yeah, what if this guy is a 10-year-old who tried to get into a bar, so he got a fake ID and he took the joke rolled with it too far.
Some researchers have claimed he could hold the secret to eternal youth.
I'm skeptical.
Well, interesting. Anyways, I will. When I'm screen sharing, are you guys forced to watch everything I screen share?
Yes.
Yeah, it hasn't switched since.
You're not forcing me because I can just exit out of this.
Okay, well, I'm stopping it now. So that was interesting.
Yeah, but I started this whole conversation of paranormal stuff, waiting for you to show us that video. You said you were going to show us.
Oh yeah, I haven't tested it with videos. I definitely need to test that. Let's try that. Well, you guys keep talk till I figure out how to do this with the video.
If you guys want to see a really good ghost video, it's not just one, but it's about 4 or 5 rolled into one. It's on a YouTube channel called Beyond Science. And the narrator found a compilation of really incredible videos that were taken in hospitals where people have died, and you can see the spirits coming out of them. It's pretty cool. The ghosts are like right there. That one's probably the best. I'm sure he has multiple because his channel's been out for years, but I saw one that he made months ago, and it was incredible. Really good video.
What's the like authenticity of that though?
Hopefully they're just actually with the security cameras. So I would hope that they're not just some person on a camera that they take home and start editing. But you never know.
Okay, here we go. Let's. I'm about to play the video. Tell me if you guys actually hear the video, or tell me if there's any weird echoes. But let's try this.
We don't hear the video.
You don't hear the video?
No.
Okay, well, forget that. I guess they don't like they're making this difficult. I guess that sucks. Okay.
Hey, Ian,
Yes.
have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Tot Whale Baba? Not many people have, but he's called the Ageless Indian. And at 85 years old, he looked around 30. And he was a meditator, extreme meditator. And he believed that he could answer any question, and he was not taught by anybody. He had an ashram named after him called the Tot Whale Baba. And he basically wore a thing called just jute. It was a little outfit that he wore, and he lived inside of a cave that he found in India. And he lived in this small cave, and he would meditate about 9 to 13 hours a day. He only worked out for maybe 2 doing certain yoga poses, but he believed that meditation was the key for answers. And the interesting thing is he gave lectures, and they were documented. And he would answer everybody's question, which was fascinating because he didn't really have a guru himself. He believed that everything could be answered with just meditation. And you could find the photos of him. Just type in the Ageless Indian. It was T8 here. Taught.
That's very interesting.
I feel
Because I
like
sort of. Here you go.
No, I'm good.
All right. So there's 2 things. I think that if you meditate, you'll know more about yourself in a way. So to me, thinking about how you'll know a lot of other questions outside of yourself seems kind of, I don't know. I'm really skeptical about that. It's just. But he was able to do that. Like there's video footage of him answering people's questions about their well, I guess maybe that's sort of like he figures out his own problems and he could help other people with theirs.
Maybe, but he's answering questions about the universe, about planets, about weird stuff that I don't know why they even decided to ask him those questions. But they really are diversified. I had a really good thing that I had copied, but I lost it, or else I'd post it for you guys. But I can find it again. You can find anything on the internet, but I posted his name right there for you guys, so you can just copy and paste that. And,
Yeah, sure. I'll check him out.
yeah, it's long articles. You can read all about him. And it just, when you were talking about meditation, it just reminded me, if you're going to follow somebody's strategy on meditating, I would take that guy's, because he had incredible fortitude, knowing what to do. His intuition was incredible. There were people dying from cobras throughout the land where he lived, and trying to come and see him on the mountain. People were dying. So he said he talked to the king of the cobras and told him never harm anybody on the mountain. And to this day, nobody ever gets bit by cobras there in India. Just incredible.
Hey
Weird
guys,
stuff.
So
being kicked out of the library. I'm being kicked out of the library, the private room. So we have to conclude this this chat. It's great talking with everyone. And just for everyone who's watching, if you want to participate in future Eternal Life Fan Club Hangouts, you should join the email list. The information will be in the description, or you could just email rowan@eternallifefan.com, and then you'll be added to the email list, and we'll be doing a lot more of these. We had some great people in here today. Thank you guys all for participating. And yeah, Yeah, I'm not sure if as soon as I stop this broadcast and I close this down, I'm not sure if it'll boot you guys all out, but I have to leave. So, thank you guys for watching. Any closing thoughts? Take a lesson from the dead people. This is the Day of the Dead. So take a lesson from the dead people, reflect on their life, and realize the mistakes they've made. Don't end up dead like they are.
Trump 2016.
Yes. And check out Peter Thiel's videos on Trump. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go check out. And definitely check out Sarah Torrent's. Do a YouTube search of Sarah Torrent, and you'll see her on what TV network interviewed you?
Fox Business, and I did like some radio or something. I don't know. It's on my YouTube.
Awesome. I'm going to check that out. All right. Thank you, guys. And thank you, audience, for listening. May you guys all live forever.